Hey, welcome back, everybody, for another round of Charlie Brown Politics. And I am Charlie Brown, the host of the show. Now, we have, about a year until the next presidential election coming up in 2024. I know everybody's excited about it. I sure am. And with that comes a lot of emotion, a lot of hype, a lot of people believing that if one side gets elected, that the whole country's going to be ruined, that fascism's going to take over, that some type of traumatic event is going to lead our country to the end. But the reality of that is that our country's already taken over by fascists, that we already have a dictatorship in place in the form that big money has taken over our government, that our government does not lead with the values and the intentions of the American people. No, they lead with the values and intentions of their big donors, right? Of the big pharmaceutical class, of the military industrial class. You guys know what I am talking about. So with that being said, there are also going to be some things that get pushed during this next election cycle I want to push back against here at Charlie Brown Politics, such as third parties. Now, I myself was a third party voter for a very long time. And I get the concept, I get the arguments and the thoughts behind it, okay? We want more voices and more choices that actually represent us instead of profits and big money, right? I get that. But the question has to be asked, are third parties only allowed in general for radicals, for people on the left, for people that actually care about communities and helping out local businesses and local families? For us to take that energy and that time and our money and funnel it into a space that really has no hope or potential to go anywhere. Our system itself is so rotten that it cannot be saved. Think about if somebody that had good intentions, hypothetically, Bernie's a piece of shit, but hypothetically, if like someone like a Bernie got in there, someone like a Cornell or Jill Stein, whatever, pick whoever you want to put. Would they actually be able to do something? Would the system actually allow them to take power away from the corporations and the institutions that run the world? And the answer is hell no. They would character assassinate them, and we all know that actual assassination would not be off the table. So I have to dedicate the next year for me and myself and this channel to push back against people putting time, money, and energy into third parties. And I'm not here to voter shame people if you vote third party, you're throwing away your vote. No, that's not my intention, okay? My intention is, we have put millions of dollars, we have put thousands of hours into people like Bernie Sanders, and where did that get us? Nowhere. And so I think we as people need to start taking our money away from these politicians. We need to start not voting for these politicians at all and putting our time and our money and our energy into spaces outside of electoral politics. And so, without further ado, I have an article that we're going to go over that helps argue the point that I have been trying to argue the past few minutes. So, let me pull a few things up here. We'll switch over here. And excuse me 1 second. All right, here we go. And so this is going to be from the Rutherford Institute, and is written by John Whitehead and Nisha Whitehead. And it's called "Stop Drinking the Political Kool-Aid, America. Voting Will Not Save Us." And let's get into it. It was written on November 7th of this year. We have got to face it. Politics have entered a new stage, the television stage. Instead of long-winded long-winded public debates. The people want capsuled slogans. Time for a change. The mess in Washington. More bang for a buck. Punchlines and glamour. We are 1 year out from the 2024 presidential election, and as usual, the American people remain eager to be persuaded that a new president in the White House can solve the problems that plague us. Yet, what is being staged is not an election, it's a con game, a scam, a grift, a hustle, a bunco, a swindle, a flimflam, a gaffle, and a bamboozle, and we the people are nothing more than the marks, the suckers, the stooges, mugs, rubes, or goals. We are being duped into believing that this mockery of choice between two candidates who are equally unfit for office actually translate to having some say in how the government is run. To the contrary, this particular con game is part of a long-running, elaborate scam to keep the deep state in power and leave the populace deluded, distracted, and incapable of demanding accountability, transparency, and decency from the government and its cohorts. It is a heavily scripted, tightly choreographed, star-studded, ratings-driven mass market to costly exercise in how to sell a product. In this case, a presidential candidate to dazzle consumers who will choose image over substance almost every time. This year's presidential election, much like every other election in recent years, is what historian Daniel Borson refers as a pseudo-event, manufactured, contrived, confected, and devoid of any intrinsic value save the value of being advertised, is the end result of a culture that is moving away from substance towards sensationalism, an era of mass media. As author Noam Chomsky rightly observed, it is important to bear in mind that political campaigns are designed by the same people who sell toothpaste and cars. So, first pause right there to kind of recap what we've already gone over on this in this article. Both sides of this political coin are beholden to Wall Street. Both sides of this political coin are beholden to big pharma and big money that runs the world. Now, this is exactly what our political spectrum has become. It's just become the market, right? They're just trying to sell everybody a product, and which product just gets repeated the most, which product gets repeated over and over again and shoved down our faces. And it's getting, I hope it's getting to a point where people are starting to wake up to this. Obviously, as time, people say that every 4 years, and as time goes along, I really don't know if people are actually waking up, but we have to hope. We have to keep on. I don't know. We have to keep on fighting and keep on trying to get informed about this and informing other people. But let's continue on with this article, shall we? Okay, so in other words, we are being sold a carefully crafted product by an elite who are masters in the art of making the public believe that they need exactly what is being sold to them, whether it's the latest high-tech gadget, the hottest toy, or the most charismatic politician. Politics is a reality show, America's favorite form of entertainment, dominated by money and profit, imagery and spin, hype and personality, and guaranteed to ensure that nothing in the way of real truth reaches the populace. Boy, isn't that true, how we use all of these emotionally charged stories, whether it's from the trans issues to race issues to, people could even say that what's happening in Gaza was let to happen to drive up more people's division, right? To have this emotion and division cut through people even more. And so What do we want? Our electoral system has become a reality show. Donald Trump, of course, the reality show king, has become president on top of that. So I don't know what else to say to it. It's just becoming becoming harder and harder to deal with, right? So let's keep going, shall we? After all, who cares about police shootings, drone killings, SWAT team raids, forfeiture schemes, private prisons, school-to-prison pipelines, overcriminalization, censorship, or any other of the evils that plague our nation when you can be sucked into the alternate reality so emotionally charged and entertaining as to make you forget that you live in a police state? Excuse me. But make no mistake, Americans only think that they're choosing the next president. In truth, however, they're engaging in the illusion of participating, culminating in the reassurance of ritual of voting. It's just another blue pill, a manufactured reality conjured up by the Matrix in order to keep the populace compliant and convinced that their votes count and that they still have some influence over the political process. Stop drinking the Kool-Aid, America. The nation is drowning in debt, crippled by slowing economy, overrun by militarized police, swarming with surveillance, besieged by endless wars in a military-industrial complex intent on starting new ones, and riddled with corrupt politicians at every level of government. All the while, we are arguing over which corporate puppet will be given the honor of stealing our money, invading our privacy, abusing our trust, undermining our freedoms, and shackling us with debt and misery for years to come. Nothing taking place on any election day will alleviate the suffering of the American people. What a great point. No matter who we vote for on election day, we still won't be able to afford our grocery bills. We still won't be able to afford the increasing rent prices. We still won't be able to afford the cost of inflation and all the rising costs that we all see every single day, and we all see it in our checkbooks, right? So I hope that these arguments are starting to pile up. Let's keep going further in this article. It's going to argue what I'm trying to argue right now. So let's just keep going, shall we? The government, as we have come to know it, corrupt, bloated, and controlled by big money corporations, lobbyists, and special interest groups, will remain unchanged. And we the people, overtaxed, overpoliced, overburdened by big government, underrepresented by those who should speak for us, and blissfully ignorant of the prison walls closing in on us, will continue to trudge along in the path of misery. Corporate greed will continue to call the shots of the nation's capital, while our elected representatives will grow richer and the people poorer. The elections will continue to be driven by war chest and corporate benefactors rather than such values as honesty, integrity, and public service. Just consider, it's estimated that more than $10 billion will be spent on the elections this year, yet not a dime of that money will help the average American in their day-to-day struggles just to get by. Let's read that one more time just to drive home this point. Just consider, it's estimated that more than $10 billion will be spent on the elections this year, yet not a dime of that money will actually help the average American in their day-to-day struggles just to get by. Let me reiterate, how much time, money, and effort have we spent pouring into candidates that we have had hope for? It's, billions of dollars. It's got to be. It's thousands of hours. It's countless, right? These numbers are countless. When we could have been putting this money, this time, this effort into mutual aid, into local communities, into nonprofit, into anything besides these fucking politicians. Good fucking grief, people. But let's keep going. This is a great article with a lot of stuff that I want people to see. All right, here we go. The government. Oh man, I lost my place. Dang it. Okay. Here we go. Okay, apologize for that. And the military industrial complex will continue to bleed us dry. Since 9/11, we have spent more than $8 trillion to wage wars abroad. Although the U.S. constitutes barely 5% of the world's population, America boasts almost 40% of the world's total military expenditure, spending more on the military than the next 10 biggest spending nations combined. Even with America's military might spread thin, the war drums continue to sound as the Pentagon polices the rest of the world with the counter-terror activities in 85 different countries. And we all know that there's like 900 bases all along the world as well. Americans should be mad as hell. Many of our politicians live like kings, chauffeured around in limousines, flying in private jets, and eating gourmet meals, all paid for by the American taxpayer. They are far removed from those they represent. Such a luxurious lifestyle makes it difficult to identify with the little guy, the roofers, the plumbers, the blue-collar workers who live paycheck to paycheck and keep the country running with their hard-earned dollars and the sweat of their brows. And these are the same people that are going to want us to hold hands and make sacrifices in our lives in the name of climate change, when they fly around in private jets, when they vote to increase the military-industrial complex. Just, sorry, I got caught off on a little bit sidetracked there. Let's keep going on. Conveniently, politicians only seem to remember their constituents in the months leading up to an election, and yet we the people continue to take the abuse, the neglect, the corruption, and the lies. We make the excuse for the shoddy treatment we cover up for them when they cheat on us, and we keep hoping that if we just stick with them long enough, eventually they'll treat us right. People get the government they deserve. No matter who wins the presidential election next year, it's a sure bet that the losers will be the American people. A political science professor, Gene Sharp, in the starker terms, as political science professor Gene Sharp notes in starker terms, dictators are not in the business of allowing elections that could remove them from their thrones. And that's a good line, and one that I want to use to argue against third parties. Like I said, not as in a voter shaming way, but as in a way of like, this system will not allow anybody that actually wants to do any proper change, anything that's good for the American people, to flourish, to actually take hold of power. It's just not. Our system's just not. And so with this, we have to start asking questions like, we need a new system. Is this really the system that's most effective for us? Is this a system that's really giving us a form of true democracy, where we have people have one person and one vote, and we go from there? No, it's not. The answer is no. So let's continue with this article. The establishment, the shadow government, and its corporate partners that really run the show pull the strings and dictate the policies, no matter who occupies the Oval Office, are not going to allow anyone to take office who will unravel their power structures. Those who have attempted to do so in the past have been effectively put out of commission. So what is the solution to this blatant display of imperial elitism disguising itself as a populist exercise in representative government? Stop playing the game. Stop supporting the system. Stop defending the insanity. Washington thrives on money, so stop giving them your money. Stop throwing your hard-earned dollars away on politicians and super PACs who view you as nothing more than a means to an end. There are countless worthy grassroots organizations and nonprofits working in your community to address real needs like injustice, poverty, homelessness, etc. Support them, and you will see the change you really can believe in your own backyard. And that's where I'm at, okay? Time and time and time again, we just keep getting kicked in the face. How many times does Charlie Brown have to get that football lifted up by Lucy before he realizes that's going to happen every time? We, the American people, have to stop being like Charlie Brown and, stop trying to kick this football and let's go play a different game completely, or just kick Lucy right in the fucking face. So that's where I'm at. I'm hoping this article is starting to maybe push you to start thinking along that path or start to question the whole system in general. We got a little bit more in this, so let's just keep rolling through, shall we? Politicians depend on votes, so stop giving them your vote unless they have a proven track record of listening to their constituents, abiding by their wishes, and working hard to earn and keep their trust. Stop buying into the lie that your vote matters. As I make clear in my book, Battlefield America, The War on the American People, and its fictional counterpart, The Eric Blair Diaries, the only thing that you are accomplishing by taking part in the reassurance ritual of voting is sustaining the illusion that we have a democratic republic. What we have is a dictatorship, or as a political scientist, Martin Gilens and Benjamin Page more accurately term it, we are suffering from an economic elite domination. A healthy representative government is hard work. It takes a citizenry that is informed about the issues, educated about the government operates, and willing to make the sacrifices necessary to stay involved. Whether that means foregoing Monday Night Football in order to attend a city council meeting, or risking arrest by picketing in front of a politician's office. It takes a citizenry willing excuse me, guys. A citizenry willing to do more than growls and complain. We must act and act responsibly, keeping in mind that the duties of citizenship extend beyond the act of voting. So there we have it, guys. I hope this kind of helps make argue the points that I'm trying to make here, that we have to stop giving our time, our money, and our energy to electoral politics altogether. The whole system is such a sham. It's it's so far gone and rotten that it cannot be recovered. And so, what's the answer? The answer is mutual aid. The answer is community. The community and organizations that are outside of electoral politics. The answer is you. The answer is myself. And so I am going to spend the next year calling this out, pushing this idea, because every 4 years, the American people just keep getting a foot up the ass. Every 4 years, we just keep losing over and over again, and we keep putting our hope in. It goes further than just radicals hoping in third party. How many of us put hope in Obama, and how many actual country people put hope in all the Republicans that they voted for and throughout the years, but nothing ever really substantially changes. We all just keep losing more money. Our government just keeps spending money in places that none of us agree with, and we all know that our government has just become this form of I don't know how. What would you? It's like a Ponzi scheme, right? Just to steal money away from the taxpayers and to stick it into politicians' pockets and to the military-industrial complex. And you guys know where the hell I'm going with this. So, like I said, I'm gonna spend 2024 calling out the system, telling people not to vote for third parties, not to vote for the system at all, that it's a waste of time, and that we need to be focusing on ourselves, on things that are outside of electoral politics. And I'm doing this humbly, okay? There are a lot of people that I follow and love and listen and respect that might tell you to vote third parties, and I'm not here to say anything negative about them. at all or anything like that. I come to you humbly about this. This is just how I feel. This is where I am at. And I'm pushing this to hopefully make people start heading in that direction of my thinking of what I think is right on this issue. And I think people are already there. You know, you look at Jimmy Dore, for instance, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he hasn't told people to go and vote for anybody in particular yet. And especially for the presidential election, I think he's pretty lost on what to do. And because normally he tells people to vote third party, but he's been fucked over by so many third party candidates this year, from Cornell to RFK, that I know he's like, what am I supposed to tell people? Well, so I think Jimmy's close to this thought process of being completely over electoral politics in general as well. But so I'm just here to try to push it just a little bit further and a little bit faster. So that's my thoughts. I've been rambling a lot. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Even if you disagree with how my thought process is on this, let me know why, and let's argue about it like gentlemen down below, or gentlewomen. I don't know. Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching, listening. Please share, subscribe, like, comment, all that stuff that helps me out. And I'll catch you on that next episode of Charlie Brown Politics. Later, everybody.